This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Morgan, editor of Fleet Equipment, and welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today, we're talking with Matt Wilson, General Manager, Control Business Unit, Trailer Commercial Vehicle Systems with Hendrickson. Matt, thanks for taking the time.
Jason, good morning. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
So really excited to connect with you because you're going to bring us up to date on one of the intelligent component solutions that Hendrickson is rolling out. I believe the announcement on the system was made, if my memory serves me correct, back at NACV, maybe, almost 2 years ago now, right? We had the forgotten pandemic year that seemed to stretch that. Hopefully we're past that now. So let's kick it off here. Give me a baseline. Remind me, what is Watchman? How does it work? What does it offer?
Absolutely. So what Watchman is, it's an intelligent wheel end sensor that integrates with our TireMax tire inflation system. And it's, it really was, from a Hendrickson perspective, a logical fit for us because we were able to take, the sensor components and integrate those with the TireMax hubcap. So it basically is a suite of sensors that can monitor your tire pressure. It looks at wheel end temperature and also wheel end health.
Very cool. How does it, there are a lot of components that are now becoming intelligent, connecting to the onboard computers on the trucks, lots of dashboard integrations there. How do fleet managers interact and see this information, and how do you build out a platform or a program around it to act on that data?
Yeah, great question. So, Hendrickson, is a major producer of both suspensions and tire inflation systems. It's not really our intention to be a telematics provider. So one of the things that we've done with this product is, we're well positioned to collect data from our components. And then our plan is to take and use a standard communication system, the CAN J1939 network. And it's not super prevalent on trailers, but our plan is to take all the data that we collect and then hand that off to one of the telematics suppliers. So we're in the process of working with all the major guys in the industry to make sure that this data that we're able to collect actually gets in the hands of people that can use it at fleet home offices.
Right, for sure, because making that actionable and approachable, and I think one of the themes even now when I talk to people about using data and seeing it, it's like putting it right in front of people so that they understand it quickly and easily, right? Is there an approach you're taking with that, or how will they see it? Are there alerts? What's kind of how does the system work?
Yep, I think that's a challenge for everybody right now. So I don't think people want raw data because it's so difficult to understand, what's actionable and what's not. So one of the things that we are really focused on is we're using our microcontroller that we're going to put on the trailer and make some decisions. And those decisions would be trying to identify edge events that are true warnings. So, we're definitely able to provide the raw data information. If you want to know what your tire pressures are, for example, we'll send that data through, but I don't think that's really what most of the fleets want to see. What they're really looking for is, hey, do I have a problem? So our system is smart enough to do some of that computing on the trailer. I know sometimes that happens in the cloud, but for sure, from a Hendrickson perspective, we think that we know our system pretty well, and we're probably best positioned to develop those algorithms and try to determine, what are actionable warnings and what are not. So we're going to provide both. We're going to send through the raw data, but we're also going to provide warnings if we detect something that we feel is, hey, this is, potentially a condition that needs to be addressed immediately.
No, for sure. One quick follow-up on that, because you mentioned something, edge events. Can you give me an example of what that is and how you set that to determine it? I love the question, do I have a problem? Yes, that's the answer. We need all those answers. How do you determine that? Can you give me an example there?
Well, so one example would be, we can monitor the tire pressure, and then, the telematics provider could write some algorithms in, with their cloud interface that would say, hey, if I see a certain tire pressure on this, on a typical certain trailer, that I'm going to send a warning through to the fleet home office, or maybe back to the driver's dashboard through their telematics on the truck or something like that. But there's some things that we think we can look at, which would be, say, a quick change in pressure. So that would be one, an edge event that Hendrickson would look for. If we see a tire that has a quick change in pressure, that usually is an indication that something is very wrong. So, we want to make sure that that's looked at right away, and try to take as much latency out of that communication as possible, because, as you have all these different devices and they have to talk to each other. So by the time you collect the data and then you analyze it, say, okay, I think this is a problem, and you transmit it to somebody else, we're trying to do as much as we can. If we see something that we think is an immediate issue, try to shortcut some of that latency and transmit as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and that goes to a topic that I'm talking a lot about these days as we near the 3G sunset of the networks, right? So all these telematics devices you'll be integrating into, there are a lot more than I probably understand of 3G devices. And for fleets watching, that means that those networks are going to go away, and you need to be on a 4G LTE at least device, which is the latest from all the telematics providers. But to your point, the latency there, you start seeing information way faster when you upgrade those devices. So making sure that if they want to take advantage of this, making sure they also have the right software, hardware on the telematics side to take advantage of it. It's all connected now,
No doubt.
We've talked a lot about this too. Any other tips, maybe even overall, for how fleets can focus on those actionable items? We talked about, raw data is great, but there's a lot of, I feel like, decision paralysis right now, right? Analysis paralysis. I don't necessarily want it. We've talked a lot about it here, but any other use cases or anything that you hear from customers, that advice you can give them on using these kind of systems?
I think that really varies from fleet to fleet. Like I said, I think that it's a nice fit product for Hendrickson to take these sensing solutions and integrate it with a system that we're already installing on a lot of trailers already. So when you take TireMax and combine it with Watchman, you get this information. And then I think on a fleet by fleet basis, it's not just the information that Hendrickson can supply, but all of the other myriad of things that is making trailers smarter. I think from one fleet to the next, they really need to step back and say, okay, which of these pieces of information, which of these warnings, what raw data is the most important? And I really don't think it's going to be the same for everybody. As I talk to fleets, I think they're trying to feel their way as well. And it's not an issue, but it's something that Hendrickson's trying to understand a bit better in terms of what are the most important things to report out. And I think fleets are kind of feeling their way. And this is fairly, it's new ground for a lot of people, that these trailers are becoming smarter and smarter every day. What are the most important things, and what can actually save a fleet money or have a return on investment? I think those are questions that the industry needs to figure out over the next couple of years. Really, I think it's going to take a bit of time.
Well, no, and I think that's a great point, because to your point, trailer telematics is really evolving very rapidly. All these components are coming online to kind of create this holistic picture of what's going on with the trailer, just like we have on the tractor. And then in the tractor world, where we have, very basic understanding of, okay, look at your idle time and look at your time spent in cruise as data points that you can immediately act on and see some value there, right? Figuring out those on the trailer side, and understanding that also fleets tend to have more trailers than they have tractors a lot of times, and so the number of trailers you're watching is much greater. But I love that the quick change in pressure example, for one, right? To your point, yes, you need that alert, but then if you keep getting that alert, right, is it something in your PMs that maybe you aren't checking well enough, or is it something related to the route? You can start connecting all that other data points to get a better idea of what's going on.
No, absolutely. And in the case of like a rapidly changing tire pressure, that's something that it's not really a PM related thing. It's this is an urgent situation that needs to be addressed. But for sure, there are things that a perfect example for this would be when you have a tire inflation system like TireMax on a trailer. It has a tendency to make it difficult to find small leaks. So, for example, if you pick up a nail in your tire, the system automatically fills the tire. You don't necessarily notice that you have this problem. And the best time to look for that is when you're parked. But when you're parked, all your systems are shut down, and so nobody's really paying attention. So that's another nice feature of the Watchman system, because it's battery operated. So the sensors obviously have batteries in them because they're at the wheel end. So while the trailer is parked, the system can also look for slow leaks, and then it remembers that information. The next time you power up your power unit, then it will communicate that information, which that's more related to what you just suggested, which is like a PM type thing. So,
Yeah.
hey, I have a tire, it's got a small leak in it, needs to be addressed at some point, and the best time to look for that is when when the trailer is powered down.
Well, no, and that's a great example too, because oftentimes when you'd first notice that is when that tire is flat and you go to start the truck and drive it away, right? Like if you haven't caught it, chances are the first alert you get will be when you see it, you have a flat tire. But here, no, that's wonderful. You catch it, and now it becomes, to your point, more of a scheduled maintenance bullet point rather than, okay, I got to get a service truck out and fix that trailer tire now.
That's right.
Awesome. Matt, I appreciate you taking the time. It's been wonderful to catch up. I'm sure I'll talk to you again very soon.
Jason, thanks for the opportunity. If you ever need anything else, let me know. Thank you.